Ready? And set!
3, 2, 1, let it rip!
Hey everyone, and welcome to the BeyClub. My name is Seabass. Today we're going to be discussing the second episode of Beyblade Burst Rise. So the episode starts, and Dante and Taka are taking a morning run, and they end up outside of the Sparkwings HQ. The Sparkwings are a rival BeyClub, but Dante doesn't really know this. He just hears the sound of Beys battling, and he can't help himself. He runs right inside. Inside, he meets Fumiya, who has a Beyblade that many of us might recognize, but for some reason Dante doesn't recognize it. Fumiya uses a Bey called Wizard Fafnir, and you might know, and I know, that in previous seasons Fafnir has been wielded by Free de la Hoya, who is a part of BC Soul. BC Soul is the team that Dante came from, so you'd think that Dante would know what Fafnir is capable of, right? Apparently not. So after running into the Sparkwings HQ, Dante ends up taking a entrance exam, although I don't think he really knows that he is taking an entrance exam, but that's fine. It's actually really interesting because it kind of mirrors the format that BC Soul uses in Evolution when assessing the new Bladers and their skill level. Not only does Dante have to face off against a Fafnir type Bey, but he also has to face off against a Fafnir that's not spun at full force. If you remember back in the beginning of Beyblade Burst Evolution, Vault ends up having to face off against Free, who spins Fafnir with his bare hand. This is a little bit different. Fumiya just starts Fafnir standing perfectly still, which I think is just like an extra power move. I think that's a lot cooler. While I was watching this whole thing, there was so much stuff running through my mind. Like, I guess Dante's just clueless. Like, Free was the best blader in the entire world and went uncontested for a really long time, and suddenly we're like 2 years later and everybody has just completely forgotten what Fafnir is based off of. If they paid any attention at all, they'd know Fafnir can drain its opponent's spin. That's what Fafnir has always done. Now, also when watching this, I was a little unsure of them reusing the name Fafnir. They have always reused Beyblade names. This is not new to this generation or even this series of Burst as a whole. They have always, in some capacity, reused Beyblade names, but when they do it for the wrong reasons or they don't do it with a good enough reason, it's not worth it, in my opinion. You're just reusing a blade that's supposed to be really powerful and really unique and just giving it to somebody else. And that's kind of what I thought here. I thought, why would Free de la Hoya, the best blader in the world, why would his Beyblade be replicated? And it made me angry for a little while. Like, why? Why would they do that? And then I was watching a Left Burst video, and come to find out, Fumiya he loved Free and Free's relationship with Fafnir so much that he created his own Fafnir based off of that. To me, that is a great backstory, and I wish that they shared that with us in Rise, but we have not seen that yet. Alright, now that I've been off on a tangent for a little bit, let's get back to the plot. So, of course, Dragon runs out of stamina, and Fafnir wins the battle with a survivor finish, because Dante is kind of dumb and doesn't know what to expect from a Fafnir, but that's fine, that's just Dante being Dante. So during this battle, the rest of the victories show up after Taka goes and gets them. Fumiya insults the victories, who are standing right there, and Armin challenges him to a battle. I would like to state, for the record, Fumiya's launch sucks, and I hate it so much. Just the animation of he barely moves his arm. He basically just bends his arm at the elbow and just pulls up on the ripcord. And like, there's no way that that is a powerful launch. There's absolutely zero way that the physics of that work out to be a powerful launch. He barely pulls the ripcord. Like, I guess it works out because Fafnir can absorb spin power, but imagine how much stronger he would be if he pulled that ripcord with all of his might. This is kind of like like I already talked about Free, but like his hand spinning versus when he used a launcher, and just how much it made a huge difference. Or even looking at Silas when he used his right hand versus using his left hand. There is a huge correlation in just pure strength and the strength of your Bey as a result of that. So imagine how much stronger Fumiya would be if he didn't launch like a weenie. I hate it so much. Now, during this battle, Armin actually comes up with a brilliant strategy to avoid hitting Fafnir, and I really like this because it shows that Armin is so much more than just a strong blader, he's also a very strategic blader. He wants to avoid hitting Fafnir head on, and he continually uses his tower counter move to minimize his own spin loss, which is genius, because if he counters every single attack and Fafnir can't land a clean hit, it's not going to be able to absorb as much, spin power. Armin also does lose this battle because Fumiya, of course, has to win for plot reasons, but even though Armin loses, I think this is an excellent showing for him, just in his character development as a whole, and that he's not just a strong blader, he's also incredibly intelligent. It kind of bothered me so the victories are leaving, and one of the members of the Sparkwings kind of leans over and says something to Fumiya, like, all of that effort inviting him was for nothing. But, like, they didn't really invite Dante. Dante just kind of walked in by himself, and they just assumed that he wanted to join because he walked into a BeyClub. He didn't say anything about wanting to join, he wanted to battle people, and that's where people were battling. I don't know, that interaction was a little weird, and was probably a mistranslation of something that made a little bit more sense, but whatever. So, the next part of the episode really confused me the first time that I watched it, and then continued to watch more episodes. I really didn't understand the purpose of Glyph Dragon. So in my eyes, I saw Glyph Dragon as a full-fledged evolution of Ace Dragon, when in reality, it's just a different mode, and it enables Dante to be able to use Dragon as both an attack type or a stamina type. It involves him having to change a major piece of the Bey to do so. I don't know, to me it seems like it should be a full-fledged evolution, but I guess it's not. While testing Glyph Dragon, it becomes very clear that Dante needs to improve his launch form. It seems like he was barely scraping by before with a poor form, and now that he's changed his setup, his launch just totally does not work anymore. To fix this, Tango breaks out another alternative training technique, and has Dante try and do the tablecloth trick. So Dante needs to pull the tablecloth out from a bunch of dishes and make them not fall off of the table. But he also has to hold a cup of water in his hand. So Dante needs to be quick yet controlled in order to not knock the dishes off the table and to keep the water in the glass from spilling. After a couple attempts, he feels that there's really no pressure because he knows the dishes on the table are plastic. So he grabs one of Tango's antiques instead and puts it on the table, and he's suddenly able to flawlessly perfect the maneuver. I don't understand why, after he, quote unquote, perfects his technique or whatever, why doesn't he try and launch the Bey? We know from past flashbacks that when Dante first created Ace Dragon, he could not control it and could not pull off a good launch. So you'd think that the second time around that he would want to test it and make sure he could do a good launch, but instead he just challenges Armin to a battle, which I personally don't think Dante had any right to win. Seeing that this was his first battle with Glyph Dragon, I know they wanted to show that Glyph Dragon is powerful or whatever, that's fine, but it's his literal first time actually getting a good spin on the Beyblade, and he wins the battle. He doesn't have any strategy or anything. We just saw how amazing of a blader Armin is, and Armin loses to Dante, who's just trying something out for the first time. This is definitely a case of main character syndrome where he just wins to advance the plot. Still, I really don't think that Dante should have been able to master his new Beyblade instantly when it's been shown time and time again that it takes time and effort. Like we saw with Iger and Achilles when he first created it, and after the evolution, and with Vault and Valtryek, again, when he first created it, and after each evolution, it shows that it takes so much more effort than just, you pull the cord once and it's done. that's my final thoughts on the matter, is that Dante should not have won this battle. So my final thoughts on the episode, the outcome of some of these battles, I wish it had turned out a little bit differently, but, you know, they have to advance the plot. So they do what they have to do, and I'm not going to be happy about it. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know in the comments what you think of my theories, what you think of my analysis of the episode. Again, I don't know what the upload schedule is going to be like for these. They'll kind of just come out when I have time, and I will catch you guys on the next episode.